All right, folks, here we go for the second stream of February. Today, I have a special guest with me who's co-hosting the show. He's a friend and supporter of ours for a long time, 𝐸𝐸 of Equitylist. 𝐸𝐸, welcome to the show.
Equally excited. I must say I'm slightly nervous about the whole live format, but come on, I mean, you guys have been killing it, and I'm trying to fill in big shoes of Dhruv's absence, so I'll try to do my best.
No, we'll have fun. I think you'll love the show as well. And people, feel free to leave comments and questions in our chat box as well. We'll try to bring them up. There is a long news segment today, so stick around with us. A couple of things have happened. A lot of movement in the world of venture in India. Elon Musk making moves. It's hard to leave Elon and SpaceX and anything related to the world of AI. These massive giant labs that operate and run the tools that we use. They're always in the news. So let's start off with the first one. xAI is joining SpaceX to accelerate humanity's future. Did you read into this news, 𝐸𝐸? Sorry, Dhruv bol raha hu main aapko.
Clearly sounds missing, Dhruv. But yeah, no, 100%. How can you not read this news? It's all over the timelines, newsletters. I mean, the gist for our audience is that last night, effectively, SpaceX or Elon, whatever, they're pretty eponymous. So SpaceX announced the acquisition of xAI, which, by the way, for our audience is Elon Musk's AI company. Grok is the more popular product that people may be a bit more well-versed with. And this is pretty monumental, right? Because SpaceX is already valued somewhere close to $1 trillion in the private markets, of course. xAI is somewhere around 200 bill. Collective is 1.235, roughly, like $1 billion.
1.25, yeah.
Yeah, so $1.25 billion. Elon Musk now becomes, like one of the highest individuals again. I mean, it's just how can you even keep tabs with that?
Actually, at 850, which was the latest number that I saw on Twitter today, 850 billion is his net worth. He'll be the first trillionaire on Earth.
It grew from 500 billion, right? If I'm not wrong, just after the acquisition. It was crazy. But here's the thing. Utsav, did you get a chance to go through the entire narrative around shifting data centers from, terrestrial data centers to orbital data centers using, the rockets and SpaceX infra?
Man, I honestly did not, but I think the manifesto that you were mentioning before the show, I think it reads pretty interesting. Do you want to read the most important paragraph that you found interesting?
Well, in all honesty, a lot of things were interesting. But here's the thing, right? So currently, advances in AI are dependent on large terrestrial data centers, which require immense amount of energy, power, and cooling, which of course is there. And global electricity demands for AI simply cannot be met with terrestrial infrastructure solutions that we currently have today. So effectively, the entire idea or the narrative behind this acquisition is that there will be orbital data centers. And of course, this is a massive leap in just like, humanity and technology from that perspective, wherein there will be like, imagine, like thousands of satellites orbiting around, like the solar system, using and harnessing, solar energy and the power directly being harnessed from the sun, for data center needs, etc. Effectively taking all of that load away from all of the Earthian activities and shooting it out to the space, because of course, as it's mentioned in the manifesto, space has a lot of space to offer. So I mean, this is the most typical. Sorry.
So data centers in space is what I gathered mostly from this. It's crazy what the scale of Elon's ambitions lie.
And it's not unprecedented. Like Elon has pulled these moves in the past as well, right? Like the acquisition of Solar City by Tesla. So he has a way of course, building these like insane companies and organizations and building the right IP and technology, and then figuring out how to house, which product and company into another. In fact, somewhere, on Twitter, someone on Twitter was mentioning that X is now the first social media, or rather the first global townhouse. Sorry?
To be acquired thrice.
To be acquired thrice, and now this is the first space social global town hall, right? That Elon always wanted to build, I suppose. So it finally happened. This is like the Twitter saga playing out.
Man, this is extremely funny, right? Because in October 22, Elon puts out a tweet about acquiring Twitter for 44 billion. 23, xAI is founded after all the drama with OpenAI, and then they raised 6 billion at 24 billion. And suddenly they're building this Memphis supercluster, and they've raised at 50 billion. Then there's a tender offer. Then they've raised at 136 billion. Then they raised 20 at 230. and then acquired by SpaceX. And the SpaceX IPO is going to be a $1.5 trillion IPO. And with Anthropic and OpenAI possibly coming to the market this year, I think what's going to be tested is how much liquidity or the depth there is in the public market as well. And I mean, it's just fascinating. But the best part is the employees at X now have pre-IPO SpaceX exposure, which was, of course, a very
Which
hot
was, yeah.
secondary stake to get for a lot of people. So crazy how this all played out. But I mean, SpaceX is a cash engine, right? I mean, Starlink's, which is almost 70 to 80% of SpaceX revenue, and they want to scale to 1 million satellites by what you mentioned, the solar-powered orbital AI data centers. And today, I mean, SpaceX is the largest, I think, the launch vehicle company in India.
Yep.
Sorry, globally.
And
but
globally, of course.
globally, and I think they will diversify into a lot more. And no single one company can sort of has the balance sheet to sustain the needs of AI capex growth, right? Because XAI was burning almost $1 billion a month. So there is so much structural thinking that has to go into all of this. And people will eventually think that Tesla, which is, I think, the largest collector of AI data in the world, like real world data. Their cars are
Yeah.
literally just data sources. I mean, data gathering
Exactly.
machines running on the roads. They're running in different countries, different geographies. And he eventually, I think he's cut down 2 models as well that he's not going to build just because he wants to make space on for the Optimus robots. And they're targeting 1 million Optimus robots to be out in the wilderness. And I think, imagine the kind of data that can power like real world usage. And he thinks that AI is going to make money irrelevant in the future. So all of this is exciting, but Tesla, there's a Polymarket thing which was going around where they said that Tesla might be next to come into this fold of Elon Musk companies, where Tesla plus SpaceX plus XAI would complete the full industrial AI loop, given that Tesla is huge in terms of collecting real world data.
Can we just admit that we're just living in this large Musk metaverse of sorts, right? Everything is just
Call it a
like
simulation. I think that's
it's just the matrix that he's trying to build around us. But have you read the part where he talks about the sentient sun? Right. So basically what Musk is saying is that the ultimate goal of the merger is that the merger is gonna create a sentient sun, which is basically like an artificial, like sun made of millions of satellites, right? That'll be powering everything around. I mean, you have to like give a tip to the man, right? Like forever just talking about just, like intergalactic traveling and, finding the right space and figuring few things out, and really making this happen. Also, Utsav, does this kind of, position Grok at a pretty interesting leverage point? I mean, it was falling behind its peers, right? In the AI race, like OpenAI, Anthropic, they were totally killing it in their, like individual use cases.
The funny thing
Yeah.
with all of these labs is, man, their tools and offerings, I think, capture the audience's mind for a little bit. But Gemini also came up with a feature where you can import your chat. So now people are not locked into the world of ChatGPT just because memory is there or context is there. You can literally export that out. You can take your own context, memory, and your data and just import it in any other chat. So I mean, first it was like ChatGPT. I think that started off the whole trend of like these chatbots, which exposed us to this world of on-demand intelligence. Then I think Gemini with the Nano Banana Pro, and everyone was just gung-ho about how
bonkers
Google
over
was
it.
catching up. And suddenly, like, I mean, in the last couple of months or even the last month, Anthropic is pushing out stuff at crazy velocity.
Yeah.
And you can control Excel sheets. It can do better coding than others. So every 3 months or 6 months, I think we see a cycle where somebody new is coming out. Grok, I think the only use case that we've seen is X, where people are using it, like at least people in tech that I know. So it's that little bubble that they've created on Twitter where people tag Grok and ask them to like modify some images or answer a question. Has to be seen. Maybe there's real world usage. There's real world
what's
usage,
interesting though?
and stuff.
What's interesting though, I was talking more from a B2B standpoint. Can't help it, I'm a B2B founder, right? But from a B2B standpoint, do you think now, I mean, all of the models essentially become potential customers for SpaceX and, like XAI in general, because they want to leverage the data centers themselves as well, get that contractual money coming in?
It'll be funny. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's the same as answering AWS clouds being used by, say, Microsoft 365. So TBD, I don't think they'll become customers. Eventually, there might be a neutral party that comes up where somebody is becoming the Cloudflare of space.
You have a Blue Origin doing this, basically. I mean,
Amazon
if
might
that
start
happens,
putting it up.
sure.
There'll be fast
But yeah.
followers for sure. I mean, if the technology we're putting putting data centers in space, somebody else will do it. We're already putting like factories and Starlink stuff. And I mean, there are other competitors to Starlink as well. Blue Origin also, I think, is doing a 6 Mbps satellite also. So there will be competitors. I don't think they're going to overlap too much though. But Google is a big winner in all of this, right? The major AI lab wars. Google, of course, has their Gemini. And they have a SpaceX ownership of 10%, which translate to approximately 4 to 6% of XAI. 14% of Anthropic, and DeepMind was an acquisition that they did. So, I mean, man, they're just winning it overall in this whole landscape, except OpenAI. They have an exposure to all the other major
That's
players.
true.
So that's a
Yeah,
big
I
win.
mean, in all of the like just AI chatter, it's usually like we hear about OpenAI, we hear about Anthropic, but it's usually these like massive corporate giants like Google and Microsoft that just silently have all the right stakes that they need to. They've indexed it across all of these different potential platforms, etc. They're always the sleeper winners.
Chalo, वापस let's return back to Earth. Something that's
Right.
happened close to home. Probably the first case that I've seen, I think, in my time in the Indian startup ecosystem, some big firm has openly come and said that they've parted ways with a partner because of economic differences. Typically, it's all hush-hush where people discuss this all privately, and I mean, it's going around as gossip amongst all the junior VCs and analysts. But this is the first time, like, head of a global, I mean, it was global when it was Sequoia, firm coming out on record and saying that there was differences that they had with Ashish, and then Ishan and Tejasvi walked out with him. So they, I mean, put out a curt message where they said that it was a mutually decided move. But today, I think the Economic Times interview of Shailendra confirms that it was due to economic differences as well. Peak 15 is, I mean, crushed it. They've had 25 IPOs, 40 companies at 100 million revenue, 50 unicorns in a 400 odd company portfolio with their 17-year journey in India. So insane. I think it's all because of the Grow investment, where it generated over 1.5 billion for Peak 15 on a pretty small investment of, I think, 35 million. What do you
Roughly
make?
65x, right?
I
Yeah,
think
no,
slightly
100%.
35x was the multiple, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Money Control actually has also been trying to kind of report. In fact, it's kind of funny. The Indian Twitterati, it's become like breaking news. Live reports coming in after like 4 or 5 years of time span, 4 or 5 hours of time gap. But apparently, according to Money Control, Ashish, who I believe led the Grow investment, he was one of the partners, decided to move out. That's where the carry kind of whatever, just the conversation or the conundrum about the carry split, revisiting the fund economics emerged from. And when they decided to it, Ishan and Tejashvi also decided to follow through. So seems like um, people aren't entirely happy with the fund economics when the winners finally deliver on the outsized returns. But here's the thing: it's not entirely unprecedented, right? I mean, throughout in the history of venture capital, you've always had great VCs, great brand names, generating potential emerging fund managers and people splitting out and forming their own funds. West has that all the time, and of course, we don't really bat an eye. It's just like a news in the West where people celebrate. In India, also, of course, like Sequoia India earlier, which is now branded as Peak 15, has had a lot of funds emerge from it. Westbridge back in 2011, A91 Partners in 2018, Spring Market Capital in 2019, and then followed by a host of exits over
Recent
the
times.
last 2 to 3 years.
And
So not unprecedented, yeah.
not unprecedented. And why are these economic discussions coming up? So there was an article which said that we've not really been this close to exits and money before. So people have not had these
True.
discussions or had context to what these discussions should entail earlier, right? So this is the first time like firms are actually making money with these IPOs and exits. And some of them have different waterfalls, like European waterfall or American waterfall, where carries deal by deal or carries after returning a fund. So all of these discussions are now coming to light. And I think Peak 15, what the Money Control article, I think, says that they were in the middle of $1 billion fundraise. And Ashish, I think, as of 4 or 5 days ago, wanted to basically revisit his economic terms while this discussion was going on or the fundraise was going on. And I don't think they saw eye to eye. And that's when I think the exit happened. But you're right. Like, I mean, Inside Partners has spun out a lot. Rahul Mathur put out a good tweet storm about this, where he's discussed some of the uh, previous spin-outs from like Inside Partners and few others. And in India as well, we've had many others. Like, I mean, the Helion Ventures led to the formation of Fireside, Stellaris, 𝐴𝐼 Ventures, and they've raised over $1 billion collectively in AUM.
In AUM. Yeah, no,
But
100%. And in
A91,
all
I think, is a
honesty,
big one. Like, I think I
yeah,
mean, Westbridge, of course, is now
Westbridge.
P, VC, late stage, all those territories. They've had good successes. But A91 is one that's done exceptionally well also. I think Gautam Margo led the OYO investment, and they've done many other heavy hitters, Attenberg in their portfolio as well. So A91 is a good one to watch recently.
And in all honesty, this is probably a positive sum game in some shape or form, right? At least from an entrepreneur standpoint, because now you have another fund that hopefully you can have a conversation with, try to bring them aboard on your cap table. You don't just have star GPs that are part of one consolidated fund. So basically, I mean, the ecosystem should end up benefiting from it. With more investors playing into the ecosystem, a lot more kind of diverse capital being deployed. Of course, probably worth tracking in the future if, just like a lot of these spin out funds also end up becoming like some sort of a feeder fund, right? Because of like just strong alumni connects at times. And we'd like to see if these are independent investments that will be carried out, and not a lot of overlap, because the founders will then end up benefiting a lot more.
But I think why this thing was very, very important and curious. I mean, because not important, but I think, I mean, it just highlighted the fact that these discussions do happen. And in private, like you've seen spin-outs happen because of various reasons and differences. But this was probably the first time that I think economics was the forefront or the headline on why this breakup happened. And that was, I mean, 2, 3 people walking out of prestigious firm as well. So I think a lot more to uh, the eye than what the headlines tell you, basically.
Yeah. I mean, and also I think it's safe to say it's not a developing situation anymore. Like whatever information probably had to come out has come out. Everything else is just unwarranted, scintillating news
That's
around
it.
it. But yeah, like,
We'd love to have one of these guys
nah.
on the show as well. I think just to hear their perspective. I think once things settle down, I think we'll try to invite them to the show just so that we know what goes on behind the mind of a venture capitalist who's delivered 1.5 billion exit for the firm, and they have been asked, not asked, but like they've walked away from a firm. Uh, I mean,
Yeah,
fascinating. These numbers are huge.
outsized. In fact, you know what? I think we'd like to wish them best of luck in setting this up and just,
No, it should
just
be
starting
exciting.
it
I mean,
off.
like you said, it's great for founders. There's more options, more capital, and I mean, competitive dynamics in the world of venture, I think always ends up benefiting the founders the most. And that's truly great. Talking about venture, Newcomer, it's a Substack subscription outlet. And they put out this interesting post yesterday where they discussed Accel's numbers for the first time. These numbers are, I think, from a 2025 deck where Accel was raising their new fund.
New fund.
Yeah, I don't know what the fund size was. Notes don't mention that. But I mean, the crazy thing is that, dude, their 2014 fund, I mean, Swiggy and Urban Company, of course, have now gone public. So these numbers might look different. But the DPI on that 2014 fund, which is the 12-year-old vintage, is 0.15x. So they've not even, I mean, in 12-year journey, of course, with Swiggy and Urban Company, the numbers might look different when they distribute those stock. But I mean, in 12 years, you've just returned 15% of the fund. I think that's pretty low in terms of performance, right?
You know what I mean, of course, the DPI numbers are pretty stark. And as we can, like, of course, understand, this is what we talked about 12 years ago, right? Like a
Mm.
fund's life cycle is typically 10 plus 2 years with like an additional kind of, extension. And some of these, of course, some of these holding positions are still in public companies. So
Mm.
that is still liquid capital that can be unlocked. And as the market grows for them, such as Swiggy, for example, so should the positions. But I mean, of course, the DPIs are low. I was observe a bit more kind of intrigued about the TVPI,
Mm.
right?
All
Wouldn't
right,
you
let's break
expect,
it down.
wouldn't, I mean, would you expect the TVA? I mean, like the DPI is always like, of course, it's the golden
Hmm.
metric that usually no one really talks about because those numbers aren't, like amazing for most folks, most
Hmm.
funds. But wouldn't you expect the TVPI to be a lot more higher considering the home runs that Axel has already had?
Yeah, so these are all dependent on the time of the capital call as well, right? I think that matters. And then, of course, the big outcomes and the ownership that you have in them. So IRRs for their funds, like at least from the 2008 vintage, which had Flipkart and stuff, vary from 37% till, like, say, if we were to see 2017 as the last one, because anything else is very recent, the numbers vary from 17 to 22% and around that range. So I mean, and they're investing in USD terms as well. So, I mean, the USD INR has moved significantly as well, with 4 to 5% movement every year, mostly depreciating. So, I think they have to beat that as well to cross that hurdle to overcome the currency risk as well. But the numbers don't look that exciting in terms of net IRRs to an LP. Like 17 to 22%, you can probably earn more. I mean, right
Public
now,
markets.
gold and precious metals are heavy, but public markets or the illiquidity feature of venture, which sometimes people think it's a benefit so that you can't sell out of your positions early and go through the whole wave of company building. But IRRs do look pretty worrying overall. And I don't know what implications this has when any fund manager is going, what kind of story they can tell to their global LPs as well, because they'll start questioning the potential of India as a venture ecosystem. It is a sober reality. Let's say that all of this improves even significantly. I think we've had some vintages in the middle where I think they've not delivered the liquidity that the venture outcome would have probably liked.
Right. And you know what? It's a bit more important to tell our audience that Accel India is, of course, part of a broader Accel as a brand,
Yeah.
right? Like every geography has its own version. Like there's Accel US team, there's Accel, I believe, Europe team that sits at UK. I don't know how active they are, but they used to be pretty active
Mm.
earlier. And of course, Accel India. And while we're discussing, of course, past performances and like just the net IRR rates across the past funds, it's also
Mm.
important now to understand what happens in the future, right? Because a lot of upcoming and ongoing investments right now these days are in AI companies, but those companies are being contested for in the on the Western fronts already, right? You have, I mean, like founders are raising capital from just like U.S. American investors, or people have set up some sort of a corridor shop of sorts. Nexus, for example, Peak 15
Mm.
has done some
Nexus is
exciting
very early into the
investments
game. They always had
very
a
early into the game.
yeah. I think Peak
That's
15
true.
is the one which is making moves in the US. They've had a US partner from YC as well.
Yeah, Lightspeed, India, of course, has done few large AI investments, such as in Emergent,
Hmm.
over the last few weeks that have publicly been disclosed as well. I mean, I'm not hearing a lot about Axel in the public, like, with respect to
Hmm.
like, I don't know, just publicly disclosed investments in the AI space. Maybe that's I think is
Coming
gonna
up,
be pretty
I'm sure.
important.
They're working hard on
Yeah,
it. They've got some really smart people behind the wheels as well. But Axel, of course, has a solid brand name. They've got
of course.
so many companies that have gone for an IPO. The Flipkart was literally the defining moment of this whole boom of the world of startups in India. And then, of course, urban companies, Swiggy, and many of the positions that they have, I think, are pretty big household names as well. Interesting. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where this all heads. I think there's some discussion around right sizing of the fund, like what kind of fund size makes sense for India. The India venture opportunity is here to stay, but I think depending on fund size, allocation, opportunity sizing, and all of that, and market sizing and GDP per capita increasing, I think larger fund sizes might start making sense. Of course, all of this is in the future, so anybody's guess on how this all plays out.
That's true.
All right. A couple of quick things that we saw on the internet. India-US trade deal. Modi ji has done it. 25% tariff has gone down to 18%. A bunch of things mentioned there where India had to stop buying Russian oil and we're buying much more from US, which includes Venezuela as well. So exciting. India-US will always be friends. There's 500 billion worth of US purchases, which were committed as well from India's side. And we do 30 billion of export to them, which was these tariffs. So great that the public markets welcomed this with open arms as well. Cool things we saw on the internet. Did you see Y Combinator's 2026 request for startups?
Yeah, I'd like a cursor for product managers, by the way.
You've been using vibe coding, right? How's that
I
going for
mean,
you?
honestly, more than vibe coding, I've been hardcore using Cursor.
Yeah.
So in fact, so of course,
But can
there's a
Cursor say 𝐶𝐞𝐞𝐬? Like a lot of people have shifted
yeah,
loyalties.
not really. So here's the thing, right? Like, especially when you're in the mix of just building a product and then, of course, delivering for customers, etc., a lot of the model changes can be a major distraction for the teams, right?
Mm.
So, like, for example, at least for someone like me who's not a core developer per se, but you got to keep shipping, and there are a few things that you could take off the plate of the engineering team if you have great written PRDs, like product documents, etc. Cursor
Mm.
is pretty fantastic for it. Right now, the last thing I want to do is just keep switching my, like just like IDEs and keep switching the tooling because it's such a distraction. Every 3 weeks, there's a massive movement in the world of models.
So that's
But the
the
good thing
thing. Like,
about
how many
Cursor
subscriptions
is,
can you also keep, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
every day we were discussing about Whisper Flow before this, and there's going to be a better
yeah.
voice to text model maybe 3 months down the line. So, how many subscriptions can you actually end up taking? And yeah.
Yeah, and most importantly, also, for example, Cursor is not into the LLM game, right? I mean, they very easily allow you to integrate with any of the latest models that
Mm.
Cursor has a partnership with of sorts, right? So like honestly, if there's a Opus 4 point whatever, right, I don't have to worry about switching over to Claude Code. I can just like start using that model as long as I'm a paid customer and I get the tokens. Of course, people have thoughts about how many tokens you burn on Cursor, so on and so forth. But at least for me, I think it works out. But yeah,
What are
but
the tools that
like
you think for right now? AI tools specifically.
that we're using currently at Equity List,
Personally, yeah,
personally. Cursor is one. Whisper Flow, we were just talking about it before the show.
magic.
Absolutely love it. I'm just frightened that my typing abilities will massively degrade over a period of time.
I've
Um,
stopped
uh,
reading some emails and messages that I do from Whisper Flow. Sometimes it's probably making some mistakes, but I'm just in such a hurry now that I just send out the message and then worry about the consequences later.
that's true. Granola is a pretty interesting note-taking app. I don't know if you've used it, but
Their
it's pretty
rebrand looks
helpful.
horrible, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, the entire idea of like non-invasive note-taking, like just happening in the background. It's kind of seamless from that perspective, makes lives a bit easier.
But
Fathom.ai.
but most of these tools, like even Zoom and everything, Google, वगैरह, now have their inbuilt note-taking this thing. So I don't know, like how many times do you actually go back to a note taken from one of these meetings to actually refer to them? Of course, some meetings are more important than others. So maybe you
Yeah,
do that. But quickly
I'd
coming
like.
back to topic, granola, finish. Sorry.
No, no, not at all. I mean, Granola is another note-taking app. Only goes to show that there is a plethora of note-taking apps right now. The
Yeah.
question is, how often are you kind of referring back to them? But yes, but going back to the news itself.
Hmm. Going back to the news, the only thing that I would have loved to see is AI guidance for physical work. I mean, so much of this is like the work that we do is digital, like, I mean, emails, note taking and stuff, but like co-pilots for real world tasks. Like, I think people need to improve efficiency when they're doing offline work as well or physical work. I think it'll be exciting to see how AI can enable all of that. On Monday, we actually had a good discussion about Moltbook. I don't know if you read into all of
Of
this stuff
course.
that's happening
Yeah.
with the bots. So there's somebody who
Saw the
launched
episode as well.
there's somebody who launched rentahuman.ai and 130 people have signed up where literally AI is hiring humans to basically just do some task for them. It's absurd the world that we live in. Like reality is stranger than fiction right now.
Dystopian. It's absolutely dystopian and
Yeah.
bonkers. So I mean, for example, in the early 90s, I mean, not sorry, not in the early 90s, in the early 2000s, Amazon had a product or a service called Amazon Mechanical Turk, right?
Hmm.
And basically,
Yeah.
Mechanical
And
Turk was supposed MTurk, right? So it was like a crowdsourced model where anyone sitting around the world could do any multitask for anyone at any point of time. And now the dystopian reality of, like machines taking over humans is actually coming to light. So not only do they have their own social media
content
to
to
crib
make us.
about humans, but now they're making us work as well, which is just crazy.
Chalo, let's return back to real businesses. Let's welcome our first and only guest for the show today, Mayank. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Utsav. Hi, Kashish. It's great to
Sorry
connect.
for boring you with all the AI talk, वगैरह. I hope you didn't get bored. You found some parts of that interesting.
Not at all. I think I've been contemplating to use a note-taking app and I just listed down all the names that you guys actually were discussing. But again, going back to what you were discussing, right? Will I go back and refer to these notes? I doubt. So
Sometimes
it's a
you
loop.
like paper pen पे अगर if you note down the important points, I think that's more than enough in a meeting. But we've become this hyper productive like this thing. But of course, for sales calls, sometimes you might want to refer to a customer notes as well. I think that's probably your use case, right, Kashish?
It is. So each and every conversation that we have, of course, with the consent of a customer or with the sales prospect, every call is recorded using, for example, we use Fathom.ai. It's pretty fantastic. So not only is the entire call recorded, but then we have a repository internally for it. So we have like 500 call recordings over a span of 2 years.
You learn from that collectively.
You learn from it, right? So any sales deck, collateral, etc., everything is prepared using that information. Even newcomers and new joiners, right? You don't want to repeat the same thing again and again. So here you go, like watch all of these recordings. So it's pretty helpful. But Mayank, here's the thing, right? You could have an agent to go through all of your notes, right? So
Yeah.
यार ये कशिश थोड़ा टेक्निकल हो गया B2B फाउंडर है ना थोड़ा तो thing but Mayank this is not idea boss so you'll have to explain what your business does again. Congrats on the funding from the show as well and tell us for our listeners what does the business do?
Yeah, firstly, thanks for having me here. So I'm the founder of 𝐸𝐲. We are a fast-moving consumer goods company operating in the home hygiene space, right? To explain what we do, a very simple scenario, right? You go to a store, you buy cleaners. So you buy a floor cleaner, you buy a dish liquid, you buy a bathroom cleaner. You carry about, say, 15 liters of liquid in your hand, say you're stocking for a few months, right? And only to realize that you are carrying water in a plastic bottle because your cleaners are up to 90% water, right? So what we did was we eliminated that water and we're like, हम आपको concentrates देते हैं, you already have a bottle, use that, why not? Right? And that is where the whole concept was evolved. And yeah, today we've replaced about 15 lakh plus bottles from being reused, and we've been able to do this for the masses, right? So basically, we've reimagined the way people, I would say, consume cleaners, right? And while keeping it non-toxic and whatever is the new must, right? And
Did you start with sustainability or space as a problem constraint for this industry?
no, I think I started, I mean, just by applying some common sense in the space, right? I mean, see, today I think any product that comes or anything that you consume, sustainability is like it's like having MRP on a pack, right? It has to have some sort of sustainability tag to it, right? But then when I looked at it initially, the whole thought was about operational efficiency. That from more of a business point of view, right? Operational efficiency. We operate at a price which is half the price of market leaders. I'm talking about, say, a Lysol, say 50% cheaper पे हम बेचते हैं आज, right? So sustainability became a part of our story, right? And we realized that we are actually building this for the mass. So we are making sustainability accessible for the mass, right? Where your help is today going and asking the owner, can you buy this for me? I don't know where to get it. So we've been penetrating that way, and I think, yeah, I mean, we at least we feel that we are truly sustainable because of the whole eliminating the bottles and sustainable to the pockets as well, not just to the environment. I think the holistic approach is what was missing.
Nice. Mayank, I mean, you've spent what, over a decade in the D2C space, right? So what were the insights? Like, I mean, one day you don't just wake up and say that, hey, I want to build something against Lysol. Like, ho gaya, I've seen Lysol all over my place, kuch to karna hai, right? So what was the trigger and what market kind of numbers, made you kind of get the conviction up and running?
So I had a brand before as well, right? I was running a D2C business before which was acquired, right? And I did have certain understanding, very, very, very operational understanding, I would say, because I would say I'm a hardcore operator, correct? मतलब मेरे को लगता है कि if you are rightly distributed, obviously the product is right, and if you are rightly distributed, it will sell, correct? The brand and everything is secondary. So मेरे को ये fundamental problem लगा in the category for e-commerce, right? मतलब everybody today is buying cleaners, everybody, right? People who are cleaning your house are also buying cleaners, right? So but it is expensive. It is, I mean, it is not, I don't know if it's expensive or not, right? But it can be a way lot cheaper and a way lot economical and sustainable just by eliminating the water. So that is where the thought seeded कि मेरे को पता है operationally what are the things that I will have that nobody in the market has today, right? And I think that was a driving factor कि if I'm able to crack the product, I know the market is very big, and that took us about a year and a half. And I think now it knows the curve that we are starting to see. So I
But
think, yeah, I
tell
mean,
about the R&D process, like I think that must be where the magic happens for a new product development or even existing ones. Like run us through that journey on what it looks like. Like how do you decide, how do you identify a category, how do you think about a product in that space? And you must have shelved many ideas as well. So maybe talk to us about the R&D process, what you take to the market, what you don't.
yeah. So for us, it was a long journey, right? At least to launch the first product. So we had some inspiration from the West, right? Where there were tablets as a concept. And then what happens is, I mean, we also realized कि जो West में चलता है वो इधर नहीं चलता है. Correct. And we did. So the initial thought was we'll do tablets, then we'll do liquid concentrates, right? But a tablet does not dissolve fast enough, right? And your health does not have enough time. They are probably more busy than we are, correct, today. So we then that thought ki resolution has to be low. Then we moved to powders where we saw कि यार लोग टैंग हेयर डाई यूज करते हैं, टैंग पीते हैं पानी में मिक्स करके, right? तो हम when we started to pitch that to consumers, and we saw immediately they could relate कि यार ये तो हमको आता है, right? And I think that was the starting point. So consumer front is where R&D should start, no matter what you are building, at least in D2C or I would say consumer brands, right? If your consumer is not going to use it, then doesn't matter whether you spend a decade or if you spend 10 days, right? Today we've even launched products where we've done R&D only for 7 days, and those are becoming our best sellers because we know what the consumer wants, right? And luckily in our space, regulations are next to nil, right? So we don't have to wait for certain certifications or licenses to launch a product. So that helps.
You take the product to
But
market
yeah,
very quickly.
yeah, very quickly. And today we're building a full-fledged manufacturing unit. I mean, we manufacture all our products, right? We are truly building for the world. Our vision is to be one of the only cleaning brand in the world that actually ships cleaners because हम पानी में पानी नहीं भेजेंगे, right? And
That's a nice tagline.
Mhm.
yeah, and I think we're working towards that today.
Tell us some numbers, like give us a scale ka picture for our audience to visualize what does the 𝐸𝐸 brand look like.
So when we started 2 years back, I mean, is when we started selling. A year and a half back is when we started selling. We're selling about 50 liters a day, right? As of today, we are shipping about 1,500 liters a day just on our D2C website, right?
Wow.
We're shipping about 2,000 liters a day on quick commerce and e-commerce marketplaces, and this number is growing by about
Mention liters. So in liters, this will just translate as like, I mean, you're basically
2
translating
tons.
weight.
Yeah, right. So I'm translating weight to it, and we're doing this from a 7,000 square feet space in total. Right now, imagine if this was actual water, right? Imagine the amount of space and people I would have needed. We are a team of about 30 people, out of which 20 people are in the manufacturing and the warehousing place, and just 10 people operating, and we're doing it comfortably, right? So, and that is the optimization that I'm talking about, right? For us, one truck comes and they take all the load and go. And if it was liquid, probably there would have been 10 trucks standing right outside, just waiting to collect this. Everybody drowning their faces, like, I don't want to carry so much weight. Correct. So this is just a very small snippet, and quick commerce and e-commerce and all these marketplaces are also starting to realize the sort of value we are bringing on the shelf.
Yeah.
Correct. And yeah, I think the whole perspective for us also has changed. That we are not just building for the consumers today, but I think we are looking at a category, at an industry upside down and changing the way it operates.
Pretty fantastic. Mayank, do you want to quickly, tell our audience about the potential, I don't know, like what kind of toxins are we looking at in, like the existing products, etc. And how is 𝐸𝐸 really kind of ensuring that, not only is it sustainable, but it's also like chemically a better alternative than, like, I don't know, any product that's out there that's usually in our homes?
Yeah. So the base detergent, right, that is used for cleaning, correct? Generally, there are harmful acids in that, right? Hydrochloric acid, for example. But what we use as a base is a coconut-derived surfactant. So this is derived out of coconut, cleaning as well as your any other acid, right? Then for germ killing, we use citric acid, right, which we use in food also, right? For a dishwash, we use an ingredient which actually moisturizes your hand. So your dishwash is your new hand wash, right? When you're washing utensils, generally people complain that their hands are getting rough. Right? For us, it's the other way around. People are saying that our hands are are getting moisturized, right? So yeah, I mean, these are a few things that we've done differently just from the ingredients point of view, right? The only drawback today that we have again, right? And when you move to a cleaner version, there is a reason. I mean, there's something that you have to let go of, right? And for us, that's not efficacy, but it's just the tag that 99.9% germ killing sort of a claim we are not able to make today, right? We are at I would say 87, 89% sort of an efficacy, which is still great, right? And we're working on that. I mean, we are seeing how we can. Nobody in the world today who's using cleaner ingredients is able to claim that. So we're trying to see how we can do that.
And tell us, what are the hero products and what are the major channels that your sales come from? You said D2C is a big, I mean, that's fascinating, right? I mean, for a customer to come up on your website directly and just order, I mean, I'm guessing the repeat usage is also pretty high. So hero
Yeah, I
products
mean, we
and repeats doing well.
Yeah, so I think our hero product today, we're pushing just 2 to 3 products given our operational efficiencies as well. Right, I think our floor cleaners are one of our heroes because we see about 55 to 60% repeat rates on that already.
Wow.
Right, our kitchen cleaning spray, the degreaser, is one of the viral products which goes which gets like which eats like 5 million views for its breakfast, I would say, right? So that sort of viewership we get on those content just because we just show people cleaning their house. Right, that's one of our viral hero products, which is a great introduction to the brand. And one of the interesting products that we are seeing come up is your washing machine descaler. Right, अभी के लिए आपको LG बेचता है, Bosch बेचता है, right? Those expensive powders and liquids. We figured out that we have everything as an infrastructure, correct? I mean, we sell it again at the pricing is not comparable to anybody today. I mean, we sell it literally 1/4 of whatever these guys are selling at, right? But I think the efficacy and everything also is turning out to be really good. I mean, we are operating at a 4.5 reviews out of 5 stars, right? And I think that's across our portfolio. So I think these are the 3 hero products as of today, but I'm very sure our dishwash is going to be the star. We're just fixing a few things in ops before we take it out.
Mayank, you already have a crazy tagline, by the way. Your dishwasher is the new hand washer. Can you imagine all ads running on TVs centered around that theme?
Yeah.
Crazy, like the marketing agency is already thinking about भाई इसको कैसे market करें. But Mayank, एक चीज है कि so I think you mentioned that roughly like a good chunk of your orders are coming from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, right? Contributing to like 45-50% more or less. That's crazy, right? Like, isn't that narrative violation, Utsav, as well, right? Like D2C products in tier 1 cities is usually the go-to kind of market that you think about. But Mayank, how have you cracked tier 2, tier 3 in earlier stages while you're running so lean, right? Like a team of 30 and owning everything yourself?
So I think the one strong insight that I had from day one was that Indian consumers are value conscious; they're not price conscious, right? And this is something that I have integrated or I've set as a thing in the whole team that people have the money, show them value, they will give you money, right? And I think हमारे पास भर भर के value है. It's something that a market leader is selling for $800 when you're selling for $300. And then you have people out there telling that, what, this is great. I've been using it. And then these people are buying and they're going and telling other people that this is great. It was just, I don't know, by design. I mean, we just built for the consumers. I don't believe in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, to be very honest. Right? Because unless I'm able to show how much I'm spending I won't spend that much. As an Indian consumer, I don't know globally, but at least in India, right? I'll buy a Gucci because you see the bag, it just says Gucci. I mean, in all due
Not
respect, but it
valid.
doesn't look good, right? It does not look good. It's just the logo, right? अभी cleaner किसी को दिखाना नहीं है, तो लोग सस्ते से सस्ते पे जाते हैं, right? क्योंकि अभी जो new age brands है cleaners में, they sell at a very expensive price point. So you might get scared and you'll be like, चलो एक अच्छा cleaner एक बार खरीदता हूँ. But the next month when you go to buy the same cleaner, you'll be like, ठीक है ना, my help is only using it. Let me buy the older one itself, right? Why to spend so much money on that? So that I think that is something which operates in the category. Like a lot of people don't agree to me, but deep inside, a lot of people do that, right? And I think we just eliminate all of those concerns. And tier 2, tier 3 का इतना penetration हो रहा है by content. So the influencer reach outs that my team keeps doing, or even I keep doing, right? And the content that is being built is just, I mean, I think people in tier 2, tier 3 just watch too much reels. Maybe, and
But I mean, there must be a lot of learnings that you have as a second-time D2C founder, right? I mean, you sold one company before this, and now you're doing this. What is that threshold for, say, repeat purchases? I think your number sits pretty high for at least the one category that you mentioned, 55%. उससे नीचे अगर repeat चले जाए तो the business is not sustainable. What is that number as per you?
I think it takes at least 1.5 to 2 years, right, to understand repeats. And that also, if you have been able to achieve scale. हमको अभी पिछले 4 महीने से या 6 months से we are able to understand repeats, to be very honest,
But
right?
why?
Because
Cleaner, though, somebody would buy like every month or every couple of months, right? And if they, I mean, don't buy in the middle, then you've lost them as a customer to something else.
so the challenge, Utsav, today is that how do you track repeat, right? Because see, I acquired you on my D2C website, right? When you saw a reel, you bought it for once, you really liked it, and the next time you go to a quick commerce or an e-commerce and you add it to the cart and you just buy. So I don't know whether Utsav whether aake gaya, and then the next time you probably go on a Zepto, you look for us, you find us there, you buy it from there. The next time probably you're shopping something on the Blinkit app, and then you buy it from there. Right. So it's very difficult to track repeats. So we track it at a P&L level, right? We try to see how our ads are getting optimized and what is the organic sort of orders that we're getting on a D2C. And then we go to the marketplaces wherever available. For Amazon has a great tool called Amazon Pie, right? Which gives you a very strong benchmark against the market competitors and the market leaders in that category. So for us, when we operate at 55% for floor cleaner, a Lysol or a Presto operates at a 62%. So we are very close to the market leaders who've been operating on that platform for 10 years, right?
Okay.
So it is very difficult to track repeats today, right? Because there are just so many touch points for a consumer. Correct. We are profitable on our Amazon channel already because we spend heavily on Meta. We realized that there's a lot of spillover. Correct. We are growing 10-15% month on month on Amazon because we're doing heavy activities on Meta. So there's just so much spillover that it's almost impossible today to actually track repeats. You just need to have a very strong MIS and track your numbers. I think that is the way to do it.
Kashish, any final closing question from you?
Mayank, long-term plans. What's next for 𝐸𝐿?
Are you going to tease some new?
I think.
कोई अब नया product ऐसे आप launch कर दो यहाँ पे.
Man, do you think cosmetics in powder format will do well? Like you can make your own, like, I don't know, face wash? Like,
sir, it's a very difficult category. Everybody knows that. And also, I think I think it's already there's too many things happening, right? And I don't think price also is a concern in that category. Right. So I mean, not looking at that. I think home care as a category is huge. We are launching something, Kashish, in the next 2 weeks, right? Something that will solve your bathroom problems, the line scales and everything in your bathrooms, right? The tiles pe jo hai. We're building a paste for that, right? And it's one of the products that I think is going to be the hero for us because it's a very big problem and we are able to clean rust also with that. Right. So I think that is something that we're very excited about. But at a business and a brand level, I think now is the time for us to start talking more about our story. right? The national television feature gave us a lot of insights. I mean, we're seeing a lot of authority on social, at least today, right? The
How
way
was
people are
that
reacting.
experience? Sorry to distract you, but how was that experience? Like Idea Bars, a lot of these shows have come up, Shark Tank, Idea Bars, there's something on Amazon also now. Do you think it helps boost visibility and credibility?
See, I think visibility, it again depends on see, organic visibility is, I mean, is next to nil, to be very honest, right? Because there's just, I think there's overconsumption for this now. I mean, there are three different platforms having the same concept, right? Shark Tank being the largest, obviously, because it's a global brand and it's at the first mover advantage. But I think for a brand, it is a confidence booster, right? Especially a show like Ideabaz or Bharat Ke Superstars, where the founder is the hero, unlike Shark Tank, where the sharks are the heroes, right? I think the narrative setting is a little different, correct? So the moment the founder is a hero, what happens is the show might not get that many eyeballs. But for a founder, it is a very big confidence booster because उनको लगता है यार लोग हमको सुन रहे हैं, right? Nobody's, and the panel is not allowed to demean you, right? The moment they do that, they take the panelist out and they make them sit aside, right? And for us, the journey has been great, right? I mean, we went in with an ask of 75 lakhs, we came out with a 5 crore deal, right? So I think that, so I think that was, and we got Rishabh Mariwala to invest in us. I met him thrice before, I'm in his team, and I think it was TV where he was supposed to invest. So I think that was great. And the content that we got after that, I mean, the sort of content that we are able to build, at least for us, the storytelling that we are able to do. Today, I'm not sitting in front of a camera and talking to you and trying to sell something. I'm having a conversation with someone and just read the comments. You have over 200 comments on all of these saying, love the brand. Why did, love the products? Why did someone not do this before? And I think that is what matters in the end, right? Everything else is the showbiz. So I think
that's
you
describe it perfectly. I think recognition for the business and the founder.
Yeah, and founders have to be smart enough to use it the right way, and I think we are doing that. And a lot of businesses do that, but like Shark Tank, for example, doesn't allow you to use the clips, so there's nothing much you can do. But that's not the case with us. So हम तो left and right कर रहे हैं. So yeah.
But Mayank has been dropping truth bombs after truth bombs in this entire segment, by the way.
Fun segment, and thank you for coming on the show, Mayank. Wishing you all the best. Hope to have you back soon.
Best of luck,
Thank
Mayank.
you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, listeners, that's it from me and Kashish today. We'll see you on Friday. I'm guessing Dhruv will join us back, but otherwise, Kashish is most welcome to take my seat.
I know for sure. Cheers, guys.
Thank you for tuning in.